you live ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in to Hoist the Colors. It is Monday, June 15th, and there is a lot going on in the sports world for it being mid-June. The Carolina Hurricanes are Stanley Cup champions for the second time in the history of their organization. We'll get into that. Of course, the New York Knicks win the NBA title. We'll get into that a little bit more later this week. Holton Ahlers, New York Knicks fan, is going to join us in studio. Former ECU quarterback on Tuesday. So looking forward to that conversation. The World Cup is ongoing. USA with a phenomenal initial showing in the World Cup. Also, Omaha rolls on the College World Series. North Carolina, which defeated ECU earlier in this tournament. They're in the driver's seat to make the national title game. We'll have an update on that at some point. ECU baseball has a commitment from the transfer portal to play shortstop. We'll get into that. ECU football has 7 commitments from the weekend and counting for the 2027 class. So we'll get into all that as well. It is going to be a busy Monday. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to this week. We'll have more of our opponent previews. We'll have more of our ECU position breakdowns as we get closer to football season. Philip Pilkington is back in the 94.3 The Game studios along with intern Kayleen. Philip, will you be able to tell me, if I ask you right now, how many days are we away from kickoff? Can you give me a ballpark figure?
Okay. So I don't remember the date of the first game. That's the tough part. We've got 15.
5th.
Oh, September 5th. Okay, sweet. Thanks. That's 5 days in September. We've got 15 more days in this month. That's 20. And there's 31 days in both July and in August. So that's 62. So 82 days till kickoff.
Well done. 82 days. You had to do some math, but you nailed it on the dot. We were 82 days away, and I started the countdown to kickoff once we got inside 100 because I profile each ECU player if I project them to make a somewhat big impact. And as long as I don't forget about them like I did on Saturday, I forgot punter Elliot Huther, number 83, or Sunday, I should say, Philip. So I'll take the error there. I was solo dad this weekend, so I took the kids to the pool all weekend and hung out with the neighbors some. So I forgot Elliot Huther. I do apologize. I hope he goes on to become the next All-American punter at ECU as a result of me not profiling him as number 83 in our countdown to kickoff. But either way, man, what a weekend it was and what a night it was for Carolina Hurricanes fans. We'll get to a lot of ECU starting segment 2. I do feel like being a radio station in the state of North Carolina, down the road from Raleigh, we are obligated to talk Hurricanes. We have a lot of Hurricanes fans that are listeners. And look, my watch has ended, Philip. My hate watch for all the Caniacs that aren't real Caniacs has ended. I do applaud all the real Hurricanes fans. My brother, Scott Igo, being one of them. I remember growing up, he would watch the 2006 Stanley Cup champion DVD on repeat. I was texting about him with that this morning. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Jonathan Wagner. I'm happy for all the Caniacs who have gone through a lot of tough times to get to this point, because that's what makes the championships so much sweeter. When you finally taste the victory, it's not really fun to hop on a bandwagon and it culminates in that. When you're hopping on when they're good, obviously it can be a fun ride, but you don't get the true meaning of it. When you go through the suffering and then you get to this point, that's when it becomes real. So I'm happy for those fans. Look, I'm happy for the Hurricanes in general. They're a class organization. Rob Brindamore, one of the best coaches in the league, and obviously was a fantastic player. And they're just a championship-worthy team, Philip. They have so many heroes. They're deep. They had so many players step up. It was just a pretty awesome experience, even as a non-Canes fan, to watch them win it last night.
Yeah, it was, man. And, when you mentioned so many heroes, right? This team, they do have good players. I mean, obviously, Aho, Svechnikov, but it's not like they have that one guy who can go out there and do it on his own. This really was a roster that took them being really, really good 1 through 20. and it's one of the more well-rounded Stanley Cup champions or champions in any sport in recent memory. I feel like top to bottom. And look, man, they're blue collar, they're tough, they do things the right way. And I've loved watching the evolution of this roster over the last 8 years. Obviously, the team has gotten better, but how they learned how to play, playoff hockey. Sorry about that. I just started text. I got my bad. They learned how to play playoff hockey. I think when this team first came on, it was about just proving they belonged. They were fast, they were quick, they were young. They moved the puck well, they scored goals, but they didn't know how to play playoff hockey. They didn't know how to pair that with the physicality that it takes to be a Stanley Cup champion team. And they got slightly better each year, and just the 8 years under Rod has been phenomenal. And last night looked like it was a game out of the first 3 series. I mean, suffocating defense. Vegas was frustrated. Vegas went like 20 minutes at one time without even getting a puck on net, and that's Carolina Hurricanes hockey. And take a bow, Canes fans, to all you Canes fans that were there for at least 1 year pre-Rod era. Because like you said, if you jumped on when they made the Eastern Conference Finals the first year under Rod, and you've seen your team win at least one playoff series every year for the last 8 years, that ain't suffering. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the playoff losses have been tough, but that ain't suffering.
No doubt. And look, last night I was getting frustrated just as a watcher of the Knights being unable to. I mean, they couldn't get a shot off because the Hurricanes were playing elite defense. So I want to make that clear. Like, that was the main reason. But also, they were just going for the perfect pass at times, especially on some of their power plays. And I was just losing my mind on, like, man, your season's on the line. Where's the desperation? And we finally saw it in the last 3 or 4 minutes where they just started chucking the ball or chucking the puck at the net. And they had the one hit the top crossbar that otherwise would have gone in. But I'm like, at some point, I get that you have a certain style, but you got to take an approach of our season's on the line. We have nothing to lose at this point. Start shooting the puck. And it just felt like it took too long for that. And again, credit the Hurricanes. Credit, how about Brandon Bussey, man? What a story, Phillip. Like, I remember I went to go see the Lightning play the Canes with my brother this year, not really like understanding his story, but then he told me about him. And obviously he slipped off the second half of the season after the Olympic break. But then for him to come back, kind of pick up Freddie Anderson, he made some unreal stops last night. The one where he was on his butt, like falling backwards, incredible. So something about Hurricanes goalie stepping up in the Stanley Cup Finals. Bussey kind of wrote his legacy, and obviously we saw plenty of shots of his family too celebrating.
Yeah, it was kind of reminded you of Cam Ward when Kevin Weeks had his, I believe it was injuries there in 2006. So and Ward came out of nowhere, a young guy, but man, credit to Bussey, man. He's stuck with it. I mean, this is not he's a very old rookie to be in the NHL. He's 27, 28 years old, and didn't get his opportunity early in his career. He was sitting behind Olmark and Swayman, who when he was at Providence, and those guys were actually finished 1-2 in the Vezina voting one year, the two guys on the same team, and there was just no opportunity for him to get to the NHL level in Boston, and he stuck with it. Kept his eye on the prize, and that's tough, man. It's tough to be in the minors that long, and to come out and to do what he did in early November, to get on that run, first 10 NHL games, I think he won 9 of them or something like that. It was some crazy stat, and yeah, man, just cold too. Like, he came into that game, whatever game it was, game 3. I mean, cold. Hadn't played since April to whatever. And that's tough on a goaltender. It's tough on anybody. And he well-deserved, man. But I did think it was cool that they let Freddie, go out there. And I think they even gave I want to say Freddie might have been the second guy to touch the trophy, because this team wouldn't be here without Freddie either.
That's the thing, man. There were so many heroes. Like, they all – like, obviously Bussey's going to get the headlines, but, like, Freddie Anderson led them through the majority of the playoffs and the stretch run of the season for many of it. So, like, he deserved just as much credit, even though he wasn't in goal to finish it off. So, phenomenal story. Again, happy for the Canes, happy for their fans. A lot of comments. Hunter Corbett, let's go Canes. Argue Ready says, great time in the world of sports. Kevin Cozart with a let's go Canes. Hope that cup makes its way to Greenville like it did in 2006. That's the other thing that's cool about the Hurricanes is, like, the way they incorporate so many different cities. Like, they've had Blake Harrell do the siren. So, like, I can get behind that too, man. They embrace the region. And not just Greenville, but the entire region. And the region embraces them in return. That does make it cool and different from maybe some bigger sports cities. that are bigger than Raleigh. They don't necessarily need that much involvement, but I do feel like the region has gotten behind them as a result. Ryan Cole says, such a great weekend for sports, quad boxes on TV, World Cup, Stanley Cup, NBA Finals, College World Series, golf. Kenny Curlin's in the chat. He says, just a little tired today, staying up too late last night. College baseball, Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup, and the UFC at the White House was incredible. I didn't watch that, but yeah, a lot of headlines on that as well. And we have some comments about ECU baseball recruiting, which we'll get to here shortly. Here's my question for you, Philip, as somebody who was just looking at this morning. Like, the Hurricanes, they've got such a good core, and like now they are super deep. And will they be able to like continue to pay this many players over time? I don't really know. I don't have enough knowledge of hockey to know. But like just looking at their free agent list, like Freddie Anderson's an unrestricted free agent, and Nikishin is a restricted free agent. But like outside of that, it would seem like their core is going to be pretty intact, at least for another year. I guess we'll see what Stahl does if he continues to play at his age after winning a championship. But like, I feel like they're still going to be in the mix here for a long time, man. So this may be the start of a long reign. What do you think there?
Yeah, so look, Svech and Aho being the best two players, they're the guys who were locked down the longest. They've also, I think, have you guys locked down Slavin, Kayleen? Is he? Yeah, Slavin, best defenseman probably in the league, is locked down as well. So, look, they've got the core guys. Now, to stay relevant, always, you're going to have guys who shine for you, and then you can't afford them, and they go get better contracts somewhere else. It's about replacing those guys. It's about drafting well. It's about, finding kind of diamonds in the rough, older players, whatever, in free agency. But no, Steven, the core group, the stars are going to be here for the foreseeable future. And the big thing is finding who's your guy net. I think it's Bussy, right? I don't think Chekhov's going to be a guy who leads you to the promised land. So I think if Bussy can continue to play at this level, that's going to be key. If I had to bet, I would say Freddie retires, and I'd probably say Stahl retires since they won it. He could come back for one more year, but I think Freddie's done. I think Freddie's been through a lot physically with health, and now everything that's gone down in the last month or so in his personal life. So I think he's done. But yeah, man, this team, like, it's funny. We say they won a playoff series in 8 straight years. That's great. This could just be the beginning of it, though, when you really think about it. I mean, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference for, I would say, at least the next 5 years on a minimum.
All right, let's talk World Cup real quick before we get a break in, talk some ECU on the other side. Again, United States on Friday, it is Paraguay, but I thought they looked dominant. I thought they looked fast. They win the contest 4-1. And like speaking of suffocating, like their offensive speed was almost suffocating to Paraguay. You could see like they were trying to incite and be a little physical with USA, but I thought US did a good job of just shaking them off and continuing on and playing an exciting brand of soccer. I mean, it was just, I don't know if this is a coaching thing, Philip, or I don't know if this is just a talent thing, maybe a combination, but like this was the most, and again, I'm trying to keep in the competition in context, but still, it's not like Paraguay is a horrific football team. So I don't know, like I'm encouraged, man, as a U.S. citizen of what I saw. Like that was some of the best soccer I've seen in the World Cup in some time.
Yeah, Paraguay, they're ranked 40 whatever in the world, but in qualifying, they beat Brazil. They beat Argentina. They can beat good soccer teams. And the United States has never scored 4 goals in a World Cup game on the men's side. That was the most dominating performance in U.S. men's soccer history at a World Cup. It was most goals scored, tied for the biggest margin of victory, and you felt like one of those European teams who shows up, plays the 4th team in their group, and it's, as the kids say, BTA from start to finish. And it was. And that is that's a refresher to see for a pretty young American team, a team who only half the squad has any World Cup experience. Like, look, by any means are we winning this thing? Hell no. I still think the round of 8 would be a huge accomplishment. I'm predicting a round of 16 exit, but it felt like that laid the foundation for a really great tournament. And the tough thing, man, you go to LA sometimes, you're playing a team from South or Central America. It can feel like a 50-50 crowd, but man, it was all USA. It was huge, a lot of patriotism, and it was great to see. And especially, there have been some games early in this World Cup that have not gone how people thought. And specifically, you think of, was the moment too big for Canada hosting a World Cup, and you get a draw, probably a lucky draw against Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah, and Australia beat Turkey 2-0. I think a lot of people expected Turkey to win that match, and that sets up a showdown this coming weekend. When is that game? Is that another Friday game? Yep, Australia
Friday
and U.S.
at 3:00. I'm almost.
Yeah,
do we do a Team USA watch party? It just came to me. Do we do a watch party at 3 on Friday afternoon?
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I am surprised they're going that early. So that'll be a 12 noon local in start time in Seattle. So I guess they just wanted to go early, mix it up a little bit, maybe get U.S. in the heat. But that should be a fun game. I did watch some of Japan-Netherlands as well over the weekend. That was a good contest. Ended up tying 2-2 in a draw. So, yeah, it's been exciting, man. And for the most part, the crowds have been pretty electric, Philip. How much have you been able to watch early on with all these other sports going on?
Yeah, I've actually been able to watch it pretty well. I didn't see any of the Brazil-Morocco game the other night, which was the game I said I was most looking forward to. It was at a baseball game. But, one of the things I will say, Steven, and to everybody out there, look, in an era where we live, where everything is so negative on social media, and you scroll through it, and all you're seeing is stuff that ticks you off. Like, if you don't have to care about soccer, you don't have to watch a second of a single match, but try and get on this side of social media right now where you're seeing what's going on in the world with this World Cup. Curacao had a team event prior to their or a fan event prior to their game, and there was law enforcement there, just in general, crowd control, and they started playing music. Well, the law enforcement goes out there and starts dancing with the Curacao fans. You had a Scottish bar in Boston where they had had one of the Boston police officers take a picture, and they had him put on a Scottish jersey. There was a picture or deal where before the Netherlands-Japan game, the Dutch fans started some dance, and one of the Japanese guys just ran out in the middle of the Dutch fans, started dancing with them, and they were so welcoming to them. I mean, the countries are coming together, the world is coming together. There's been a lot of cool stuff on social media. If you can get through scrolling onto that side of social media, it'll make your day better. Man, it's so cool. The Japanese fans bring trash bags to games, and they clean the stadium after. And Jameis Winston went out there and started cleaning it with them. It was so cool. All these people doing interviews about trying different American foods and how excited they are to be here. Man, it's really cool.
No doubt. It's a fantastic experience for people from these countries and a great showcase for the U.S. And we get frustrated with some of the negative stuff going on in our country, man. And like you said, it's all evident over social media. It is refreshing to see the positive stuff. So I would echo your sentiments, man. Definitely encourage people to check that out. And yeah, even if you don't like soccer, I'm not a soccer guy, but watching the games, it's pretty incredible to see the passion, the pageantry. And obviously when U.S. Kicks it off again, it'll be another fun time this weekend. All right, well, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk ECU on the home front. Pirates get a big shortstop commitment. A shortstop. We talked about it. Their number one need. We'll break it down after this on Hoist the Colors.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Like all pirates, Stephen Igo is loyal and bold. He may also have a touch of scurvy. Back to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here, segment 2 on Monday, June 15th. Philip Pilkington back producing. We got intern Kayleen hanging out as well, doing some social media stuff for us on this Monday. The big news over the weekend from an ECU baseball perspective, Pirates get a huge commitment from the transfer portal in Weston Boyle, Purdue shortstop, standout freshman season, put up good offensive numbers. We'll get to that in a little bit, but really good defensive numbers and a high projectability as far as a player. Good size at 6'3", near 200 pounds. Physical prospect, has a chance to really grow into being a good player, entered the portal, kind of looking to take the next step in his career after having a solid season for a pretty good Purdue team in the Big Ten. He commits to East Carolina, had other offers, but chooses the Pirates. We talked about this going into the offseason. ECU had a few clear needs. Shortstop was one of them, and they addressed it basically immediately with the addition of Weston Boyle. Let's get into this a little bit, Philip. I'm excited about this. Let's just start with the defense. We'll get to the offense in a minute. But, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, like the defensive run save metric in Major League Baseball and pro baseball analytics is always a little bit sketchy to me. But if you look at any of the college baseball analytics, I couldn't find the exact tweet, but there was a tweet out there that said he was one of the best defenders in terms of runs saved by a defensive shortstop in the country. But I went back and I watched his tape. Like, he's making plays on the run, coming in on the ball, quick transfer, really good arm, really good range at his size, and then also in the hole, throwing across the field, just a really legit arm. So not only does he have size and speed, he's got a quick transfer, great arm. But he made 3 or 4 plays on a highlight reel just looking on social media that I haven't seen ECU shortstops make in about 5 years. So I think that alone is worth whatever the price ECU paid was. I don't know what it is, but I'm just excited, man. ECU's got a shortstop, a real shortstop, Phillip. And there are other good players coming in, other good infielders coming in this recruiting class. That's fine. Let them compete for the position. But this gives me assurances that ECU is no longer just going to figure it out as it goes. They're going to have a legit shortstop.
Catcher, shortstop, center fielder. Those are the places you need to be really, really good defensively. You hope you got bats in those places too, but you need to be good defensively. Stephen, what I loved about it is he doesn't have to have his feet set in order to make a throw, right? You mentioned the hole. Talking about turning too. And even sometimes that means unassistedly at second base and then throwing the baseball. Really good baseball players, really good throwers of a ball, really in any sport, even if you look at the quarterback position, can make plays in a non-traditional throwing manner, right? It's anybody who's a Division I athlete, Division I baseball player can stand at the shortstop position, get their feet set, take their time, and throw a baseball across a diamond and hit a first baseman, right? That's why you're a Division I athlete. What makes you special is being able to do the stuff that not everybody can do, not even every college baseball player can do. This guy's got it. This is one of those things where I hope, when the ball's hit to the left side of the diamond, we won't have sweaty palms and our heart skipping a beat. And maybe you'd have to go back to Turner Brown. I mean, Shaq, I guess, was solid. I don't want to hate on him. I mean, but he was going to make the routine plays. He was going to make the routine plays. He wasn't going to go out of his way to do it. Or, well, he was going out of his way, but he wasn't going to do anything special, I guess. But man, this is refreshing. This is awesome. But to your point on that stat, yeah, you're right, because that stat would the defensive run saved technically has Derek Jeter's historically the worst, or statistically the worst shortstop in the history of Major League Baseball. We all know that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how you measure it, but especially in college baseball, because at least in Major League Baseball, you have all the analytics, all the park factors. College baseball, there's so many teams, so many different park factors. I don't know how you measure it, but I will say this: just watching the tape, the guy, like you said, he's got legit shortstop tools, which every ECU shortstop we've seen, it feels like, is undersized, doesn't have a good enough arm. This guy, he's 6'3", 190, projectability, like I said. So I think defensively, he's going to be an upgrade no matter what. Now, offensively, he put up solid numbers. And, the Big Ten is a decent baseball league. Purdue, again, actually had a good season. So you take that into account, too. If you're a freshman shortstop on a pretty good baseball team, you've got to be, in my opinion, at least a decent leader to command that position, well liked by your teammates. So that would seem to suggest he's a good locker room guy, has some good leadership traits. Good speed at his size. He stole 8 bases. Not great, but hey, it's more than ECU got out of the shortstop position this year. He also was only caught stealing once. He finished with a 285 batting average, 378 on-base percentage, 406 slug, 2 triples, 2 homers, 38 RBI, 15 doubles, which I think tied a Purdue record for a freshman hitter. Also posted an OPS of just under 800 at 783. And so the numbers offensively don't jump off the page at you. But one thing we do have to remember here, Philip, is, he's a freshman. The other thing that I did like about the offensive numbers, he only struck out 16.9% of the time, so does not strike out a ton. I would say average to, a little below average in terms of, strikeout rate. So I guess technically above average as far as contact-oriented player. But he's a freshman. How many guys have we seen in ECU's program develop over time, specifically offensively? And the fact that he's already played 50-something odd games starting shortstop for a Big Ten program, it's not like you're getting a guy who barely played last year that has upside. This guy has shown he can do it in games. Watching his tape again, he can go backside, he can pull with power. So I feel like there's enough tools there. You get him into ECU's program as long as he buys in, which at times can be an unknown with some of these freshmen or transfers. As long as he buys in, I think the sky would be the limit for this young man, given his size, his tool set, and the fact that we've seen so many guys go into their sophomore, junior season get better and better. It was just, my question is, how long does it take him to adjust to the ECU way? Going from Purdue to ECU in baseball, it's actually a bigger jump than many might seem like on the outside looking in, just in terms of pressure to perform, fan interest, coaching style. All those things are going to take some time for him to adjust, I would say, to Greenville.
Yeah, I mean, look, he goes 0 for 4 on opening day, trots out there, on Saturday afternoon. He's getting booed. That didn't happen at Purdue, right? People care. So that's going to be the tough part. I mean, obviously, anytime you change programs, like you said, that's tough too. Look, to answer your questions, not to answer your questions, we don't know the answer to your question, but if it takes a month into the regular season, who cares? If he's good to go for conference play, and this team can trust him to not give away runs and to be a competent bat throughout the entirety of conference play, and you win the conference regular season, you're in the tournament. I think if you win the conference season by 2 to 3 games, you feel good next year. So, going into Selection Monday. So, with that being said, just be ready to go by conference play. There's going to be growing pains. You're going to see some tough out-of-conference schedule, right? You got the Heels. You got the Beach Chickens. LeClaire Classic will have a good field. But that's your time. It's your time to figure it out. I mean, he's played in, I'm sure, some decent environments, in the Big Ten. He's seen big-time pitching. I mean, they've had to play. I mean, their last loss was a loss to UCLA. They played good players, so it's not like he's played scrubs. But to your point, it's not the game that I'm worried about. It's the, you're in Greenville, North Carolina playing college baseball, and, hey, they can either give you the keys to the city or they can boo your ass out of town real quick.
It's one of those things. Some guys get better in that environment. Some guys, don't play as well under the pressure. So the one thing that did encourage me, I think he hit some key home runs late in the season when Purdue was on a run. They were under more of the spotlight. So that's something to keep in mind. At least he seemed to. I know he cooled off some in Big Ten play after a really hot start in his freshman year. Probably got the scouting report out, all that good stuff. But I just trust Cliff Godwin in terms of player development. I trust his staff. And I think they'll do a good job, again, if the buy-in's there, to continue to improve his offensive productivity in the right direction. So, good start to the portal. I will say, talking with some people in the portal, final thing on this before we get a break in, it sounds like this year's transfer portal, not exactly the greatest crop, and I do wonder how much of this is no more COVID guys. It just feels like there's a less – you're seeing this a little bit in all sports, but it feels like there's just less talent to go around. And I think teams are also spending more to retain players more than ever before. And so you're getting less and less proven guys in the portal. Now, you can get a guy who's coming off an injury. You can get a guy who was good for half a season. You can get a guy with upside. But, unless it's just some player who's straight up transferring up to get more money, it's hard to find maybe those sure things in the portal. Just from my conversations, Philip, I think it's getting a little tough right now for even a school like ECU. Like, I'm talking to coaches at power programs that are having trouble finding legit talent. So just wanted to make everybody aware of the expectations. ECU's not going to be getting some All-American, pitcher in the portal or anything like that, most likely.
Yeah, I think so. So there's two reasons. Steven, you brought it up. The key thing there was COVID. Everybody was saying, high school freshmen aren't being recruited because of the portal. No, that maybe not being recruited to big programs, but still, if 25% of, if you got 4 years eligibility and 25% graduate, then 25% graduate. The thing is now only 20% were graduating because everybody was getting extra years of eligibility. That was the reason there was less high school kids getting recruited. To your point, though, so therefore now, like you said, less in the portal. But also, I think, Steven, too, look, the horror stories are starting to come out. Look, just because I think now guys put their name in the portal if they legit feel like they have some landing spots, whereas I think when it was new and it was fun, it was just kind of, hey, one thing didn't go my way this year, I'm jumping in the portal. And I think guys have learned from the mistakes of the guys in front of them that just because you get in doesn't mean the grass is always greener. So I think that's part of it. Like you said, especially with proven guys. When there were proven guys, it's like, why the hell is this dude getting in the portal? They were just getting in the portal to see if they could get more money, and then sometimes it was biting them in the rear end. So I think guys are starting to kind of mellow out, realize, hey, it is the Wild West when you get in there. You need to be mature about how you handle it. So I think that's a lot of it. And like you said, teams now know how much money they've got. Right? They know how roster continuity helps. They know that they need to spend to retain. And now that it is rev share and it is 100% in-house, I think it's a little easier to keep guys.
Kenny Curlin says, I would love to see some size and power at the plate. If Troy can do it, why not us? I will say, we touched on it, but Vogely and Trammell coming off injuries, those guys profile as power bats with size. ECU also has like 2 or 3 bats in this incoming freshman class. I dove into it this morning. You can check it out, hoistthecolors.net for more here. But, this is a good freshman class coming in. Now, you never know what you're going to get from freshmen, but you've got multiple guys who are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", who can hit for power. There's more to it than just having a raw juice. You got to be able to recognize pitches, get swings off in certain counts, all that good stuff. But, they've got some guys with juice coming in this class, and they've got some infielders coming in. Josh Mazingo and a few others can really play shortstop. So this is a good incoming class. I think we may see this class potentially make more of an impact next year than some of the previous classes, depending on how things break with the draft. But I'm encouraged as I do more research on the freshman class along with potential portal ads. So I just want to make that known as well. They've got some size coming in with this class, some corner, infield, outfield type bats that could profile as immediate contributors, depending on how they acclimate into the program. All right, we got to get a break in. We come back. Speaking of recruiting, ECU football recruiting, it's been a slower start as anticipated, but after their first official visit weekend of the summer, ECU already has 7 commitments in for the 2027 class. We'll break that down next.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice
Climb
agency.
aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Ahoy, me hearties!
Back to Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Third segment here, Hoist the Colors. We just talked some baseball recruiting. Let's talk some football recruiting now. Philip Pilkinen back in the 94.3 The Game studios. He's producing today. I'll just run through what happened over the weekend. We'll react to it once I get through this list. ECU gets 7 commitments already, more to come as far as announcements. I was told at least 8 committed. They had, I think, 12 in for the official visit weekend. To kind of set the stage here, there's a dead period at the end of June. You'll see a lot more guys come to campus this coming weekend. You'll probably see another rash of commitments, and there'll be a dead period through June, through much of July, and into preseason camp. So a lot of the recruiting for the 2027 class being done now as far as official visits, commitments. You've had coaches on the road the last month or two, finding talent, welcoming guys into camp. They also are going over prospect camps right now as well. So they're sending out a lot of offers, seeing guys for the second, third time, making decisions on, all right, is this guy good enough to take? Let's do our homework, et cetera, et cetera. Then welcome them to campus for an official visit and then obviously try to get their commitment then. So ECU has 7 pledges in from the weekend. I'll kind of go through each one here in a little bit. A lot of position versatility. You get an athlete who could play quarterback, more on that in a moment, a running back, a receiver, an offensive lineman, a tight end, a defensive lineman, and a safety. We'll start with the tight end, Phoenix Barnes. He plays at Jack Britt High School in Fayetteville, 6'4", 215-pounder, chose ECU over offers from Army, Charlotte, Coastal, FAU, James Madison, Liberty, Navy, ODU, and UMass. Had taken an official visit to Charlotte and App, chose the Pirates, so ECU wins over some in-state programs. You'll hear this with a lot of these commits. Barnes is a track guy. He ran an 11.53 100-meter dash in March of this year. Again, for the tight end position, 6'4", 220. Needs to add some weight to play stronger, but good speed, projects as kind of a receiving first tight end as of today. Over time, if he can get to 240, 250 with that type of speed, could really be a nice addition. So Phoenix Barnes, tight end commit from Jack Britt. Offensive line commit, Cash Freeman. What a great name, from Baylor School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Won a state title this past year. Projects as a true center / guard, 6'3", 300. Also spent time at Christ School in North Carolina. Also had offers from Charlotte, Tulane, Middle Tennessee, Buffalo, Marshall, Jacksonville State, Troy, Bowling Green, Arkansas State, and Toledo. Really like Cash Freeman's film as a true center. Again, not great size, but because he plays center, it's not as big of a concern. So good win there for the offensive line. Ethan Singletary, wide receiver from Irmo, one of the top programs in South Carolina. He also visited Temple, fellow American Conference school, commits to ECU on Sunday. 6-foot receiver, another track guy, reportedly ran a 4.39 40-yard dash, a 10.69 100-meter, and a 21.66 200-meter sprint. If you're unfamiliar with those times, he was absolutely booking. So a speed-first receiver, again, chose the Pirates over Temple and James Madison. 6 foot, 180. If he was probably 6'2", he's going to whatever team he can go to. Kind of a tweener between slot and outside, so we'll see what he lands long term. Pirates get a running back from Venice High School in Florida, where there's actually a couple of former Pirate players on that coaching staff, including Larry Shannon, former ECU receiver great. Ira Dale Jr., 5'11", 200 pounds, chose ECU over Memphis, Toledo, Jacksonville State, Liberty, and more. Really physical running back, ran for 342 yards last year, 9.2 yards per carry. He was the team's second back as a junior. I would expect him to take over more of a workhorse back as a senior. But Julian Griffin, new running backs coach, really liked Ira Dale and offered him, got his commitment. He's been timed at 4.50 in the 40-yard dash. My favorite commitment of the weekend, his name is Xavier Means. He's from Northwestern High School in Rock Hill, South Carolina, powerhouse program. Another track guy, led Northwestern in Rock Hill to back-to-back state titles this past season. He plays quarterback for them. He's committed to ECU as an athlete. So we'll see how it transitions. I think he'll get a shot to play. But the main thing here, guys, speed. 6'1", 170. Can absolutely fly. 10.66 100-meter dash. He ran a 4.33 laser time 40. And as a quarterback, if you watch his tape, he can actually spin it pretty well. 76% completion percentage, nearly 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. He also ran for 1,200 yards and 27 touchdowns. They beat Irmo in the state title game last year, 55-13, and he was the leader of that team. So, again, not a ton of big offers because he's what position is he type of deal, but I'm a huge fan of Xavier Means. I think anytime you take an athlete, it can work out long term. Number 6 in the commitment list, Jael Hester, defensive back out of Donovan Catholic in New Jersey. Had offers from Syracuse, Temple, Army, James Madison, Buffalo, Navy, chose ECU. Another guy who is a track guy, a state champion in hurdles. Put up some phenomenal numbers. Ran a 13.81 in the 110-meter hurdle, which was good for second in the state this past spring. Also turned in 11.38 100-meter dash, a 6'4" high jump, and a 24-foot long jump. So tremendous leaper. great skills, has to get bigger from a physical perspective. 97 tackles for Donovan Catholic last year, including 6 tackles for loss, but another guy who projects well. And then the last commitment, A.J. Ville out of Westwood High School in Blythewood, South Carolina. This is a Roy Tesh special. It feels like one, not highly recruited, but they saw him in camp. 6'4", 225, projectable, basketball standout. Has done a lot of things on the gridiron. He can play inside, can play defensive end. Just flashes on film. A guy who will probably redshirt, we won't hear about for a year or two, and then he'll just pop up and be like, all right, there's ECU's next consistent defensive lineman. So one thing for certain here is, Philip, none of these guys will blow you away. Like, you can look at their profile, no stars on any of them. That'll change shortly. 24/7 Sports will get them rated. But I like the approach here of they're going for like physical traits and tools, and some guys will hit, some guys won't, like any recruiting class. But like, I like that they're specifically going for, all right, we need speed here, we need size here, we need something here, X, Y, Z, and they seem to be identifying that, which I do like.
That shows you the confidence the coaching staff has in themselves. Let's go out there, find athletes. Let's find guys who are tough, who are physical, who are fast, who are big, or whatever, and then we'll mold them into football players. We'll do all the work. I'm not saying these guys aren't great football players, but when you have guys with that high-end speed, as long as they're tough, you don't want to sign some track guy who's never played football before, because the first time he gets hit, he's going to, not know what to do. These guys are football players, of course. But, hey, this guy's fast as can be. All right, we'll get him on campus. We'll mold him into the football player we want him to be. I love all those 40 numbers, especially for a guy that might play quarterback. A 4.33, a 10.88, like, that's crazy. Also, Northwestern High School, Burns is their rival. Cordero Patterson, Mason Rudolph, Jonathan Joseph, Ben Watson, as well as a handful of other NFL players. Like, I'm not saying he's been an NFL player, but these guys are coming from schools who pump out talent. Venice High School down in Florida, like, they have had a lot of football and baseball players turn pro out of there. And they are constantly sending guys, these schools, every year to top-tier college programs. They have good high school coaches, and they've got good connections in the recruiting world. So these guys, if they're good, they're being looked at by other schools too. Like, he's not the only school going after him. And anytime you get a guy with some of those 40 numbers you read off too, and there was multiple track guys in there competing at the state level in track, like, yeah, just give me a guy that all I got to do is get the ball in his hands and he can go be a playmaker.
And I don't know how hurdles projects to playing safety in college, but it does show explosive. I feel like, just like as somebody who's never done hurdles, Philip, that it looks terrifying to me. First off, I feel like I would rip my quad anytime I would try to do any of that or bust my tail. But, I mean, it does show, I would think in theory, explosive traits in terms of if you're a safety, you have to be able to, read and react and explode to the football. And he does that on film. Obviously, you got to be able to leap to catch the football on the back end. But I feel like almost the hurdle stuff, if you're like a state champion in hurdle, and obviously he had 97 tackles, so he's not afraid to hit somebody. Like, that would seem to suggest he has a chance to be pretty special on the back end. Did you ever do any hurdling back in your day?
Hell no, I didn't do any hurdle. I did some like drills where we, slung our legs over the hurdles, No, man, it's such a weird stride the way anybody can run and like leap over a hurdle, right? Like, you can get enough to get over it, but it's like you jump like you're jumping to take a layup kind of deal. That's not the hurdle stride, man. That's not, because it's not the most efficient. Like, anytime somebody is athletic enough to do a hurdle, got the flexibility to be a hurdle runner, and then to do it at that high of a level, obviously, like, yeah, no, that's special. Like you said, the explosiveness, and just the ability to keep speed without a natural stride too, right? And when you're a defensive back, you have to react so much. You have to, go from a pedal to a turn and run, or maybe back to a pedal, or whatever it may be, and then break on a football. So, man, that's impressive, and that gets you a little excited. Might get you a few goosebumps, Stephen.
Jael Hester, so remember the name, out of Donovan Catholic in New Jersey. All right, we got to get a break in. Again, I will encourage people to read more of that on hoistthecolors.net. We're actually running our 60% off special. That ends tonight. So if you want to find out the latest scoop on recruiting, another big visit weekend coming up, more camps coming up this coming week, make sure to take advantage of that offer for new subscribers. Otherwise, we'll continue to break it down here as well on the radio show when we can. Let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show after this.
The power of savings is yours at Greenville Toyota with powerful deals on our huge selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or the all-new RAV4, $279. Don't miss the power of savings at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Need cash for a vacation? National Finance Company is here to help. For over 50 years, National Finance Company has been the small loan specialist with loans from $1,000 to $5,000 with low payments to meet your budget. We're in the business of getting you the cash you need today. Apply online for a loan at one of our convenient branch offices and get your money as fast as today. It's easy. Get the vacation cash you need. For extra cash, visit nfcmoney.com.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken, or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
The hunting and fishing event of the summer comes to the Greenville Convention Center, July 11th and 12th, bringing together the best hunting and fishing vendors, outfitters, and fishing experts, all under one roof. Special free events, including a mountain trout pond, indoor archery range, offshore fishing experience, interactive duck blind, and free seminars. Don't miss it. The Mid-Atlantic Hunting and Fishing Expo is July 11th and 12th.
With new Toyota trucks from $259 a month, you've got the power of savings at Greenville Toyota. Drive Tacomas $259 a month or Tundras only $399 a month at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Final few minutes of the show. We've had Philip hanging out back in the 94.3 The Game studios, and we've talked a little bit of everything: recruiting, baseball recruiting, football recruiting, World Cup. We also talked, obviously, Hurricanes Stanley Cup earlier. Let's quickly touch on Omaha, what's happening in the College World Series, Philip, and what is happening is North Carolina, which eliminated ECU, is looking like it may be the second straight team to take out the Pirates in the postseason to make the National Championship Series. They're up 2-0 in their side of the bracket, which means that either Troy or West Virginia, what a draw, by the way, will have to come out of the losers bracket to beat them twice to prevent them from making the championship. I personally don't see it. I think North Carolina is built so well for Omaha, the style they play, the defense they play, the fact they've got two of the most electric relievers in college baseball that they can bring back again and again, given the rest that you get in Omaha. And I think they're set up pretty well, man. What have you made of the College World Series?
One thing, I feel like the park is playing a little smaller than it normally does. It's been pretty hot, been kind of dry. Wind's been blowing out a little bit, specifically a lot of home runs to right field. There are usually more home runs to right than to left at that park, but still, that gives me a little hope on Carolina getting beat if they make the finals. The tough thing is Georgia already in the losers bracket? I think
Georgia beat Texas.
Oh, they did. Okay.
So I think Georgia plays tonight against the winner of. They play the winner of the other game, and so they are in the winners bracket. Texas.
That's right. Texas and Bama are playing. Yeah, Georgia's got Oklahoma. That's right. Oklahoma was the one that pulled off the upset. So, maybe if they see Georgia, the balls are jumping off the bat pretty well. So that gives you a little hope maybe in the championship series for the Heels to go down. But, yeah, right now, Steven, it was going to have to be Ole Miss, I think. The only team that was going to be able to come out on that side. Obviously, Ole Miss goes 0-2. Yeah, man, it's looking like the Heels are going to the championship series. I mean, anything can happen. That's why we watch, but it's unfortunate. But like you said, they're built for Omaha with all these arms, man. And the West Virginia fans, the first game, when they started sending Glauber down to the pen, they were cheering like, hey, we're about to get to their relievers. Like, no, you'd rather face Carolina Stars.
That's the thing. You got to jump on Lynch or DeCaro to have a shot. Unless those relievers just have an uncharacteristic off day. So credit UNC, man. They're a legit team. And, of course, ECU had to face them. Tough draw, as the Pirates often seem to get. But it is what it is, man. Again, Alabama, Texas today at 2, and then Georgia, Oklahoma tonight at 7. All right, we got to get out of here. We are out of time. Appreciate Philip Pilkington for all his great work, as always, all his insight across all the sports. Intern Kayleen as well for her work on the social media side of things. Stay tuned for that on our social channels. Tomorrow, we've got Holton Ahlers, former ECU quarterback, in studio. He'll hang out. We'll talk Knicks. We'll talk ECU football. Looking forward to that on Tuesday. We'll see you then. Hoist the Colors.